John was a retired Navy veteran, a proud Trump supporter, and a man of simple pleasures. Every morning he'd put on his red "Make America Great Again" cap and head to Rosewood Diner, a place he'd frequented for years. It wasn't just the food that brought him back. It was the familiarity, the friendly nods from other regulars, and the sense of community in his small town. This morning was no different. John walked in with a warm smile and a polite nod to Sue, the longtime waitress. "Morning, Sue. The usual, please." Sue smiled back, though it seemed forced. "Sure thing, John." She scribbled down his order, eggs sunny side up, bacon and black coffee, and handed it off to the kitchen. John took a seat by the window, adjusting his MAGA hat as he looked out at the town waking up. A couple of other patrons gave him sideways glances, but he didn't think much of it. He'd noticed lately that his hat seemed to draw more attention than it used to, but he wasn't one to back down from what he believed in. As the minutes ticked by, John noticed his food was taking unusually long. Sue avoided his table, busying herself with other customers. Finally, his plate arrived, but the eggs were rubbery, the bacon burnt, and the coffee lukewarm. John waved Sue over with a friendly smile. "Hey Sue, looks like the cook was having an off morning. Think I could get a fresh plate?" Sue hesitated, glancing nervously toward the kitchen. "I'll check," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Moments later, Greg, the burly cook, stormed out of the kitchen, wiping his hands on a greasy towel. His face was set in a scowl as he looked directly at John. "You got a problem with your food?" John remained calm. "Not a problem, just a simple mistake. I've been coming here for years, Greg. You know me." Greg crossed his arms. "Yeah, I know you, and I know what that hat stands for. You want better food? Lose the hat. We don't serve racists here." The diner quieted as heads turned toward the confrontation. A few patrons nodded in agreement with Greg, while others exchanged uneasy glances. John's face flushed, but his voice remained steady. "Racist? Greg, I served this country for 25 years. I've worn this hat for just a few. It's not about hate. It's about hope for this country. You've known me long enough to know I treat everyone with respect." Greg scoffed, gesturing at John's hat. "Respect? That hat is a symbol of division. You don't get to preach unity while wearing that." John stood, placing his hands on the table to steady himself. He didn't want to escalate things, but he also wouldn't be bullied. "That's where you're wrong. I fought for the freedom of everyone in this country, including you. That freedom means I can wear this hat, just like you can have your opinions. But denying me a decent meal because of what I believe in? That's not right." The tension was thick, and the diner fell silent. Finally, Sue stepped in. "Greg, maybe you should just remake the order. John's been a loyal customer." Greg shook his head. "Not until he takes off the hat." John sighed, reaching into his wallet to pull out a $5 bill. He placed it on the table. "This is for you, Sue. Thanks for trying." As John turned to leave, he noticed the young man seated by the window standing up. The man wearing a hoodie and earbuds caught up to him just outside. "Hey," a young man called out. "I saw what happened in there. That wasn't right." John turned, surprised. "Thanks, son, but I'm used to it. People are quick to judge these days." The young man shrugged. "I don't agree with everything your guy stands for, but I respect what you said back there. You didn't lose your cool. You handled it better than most would." John smiled, tipping his hat. "Appreciate that. It's about respect, you know? We don't have to agree to treat each other decently." The young man nodded. "How about I buy you breakfast somewhere else? There's a spot down the street." John chuckled. "Deal. Lead the way." As the two men walked off, they struck up a conversation about life, family, and the values they held dear. It wasn't about politics. It was about understanding. Back at the diner, Sue stared at the empty table where John had been. She sighed, picking up the $5 bill. She wasn't sure if she'd see John again, but she knew one thing. The little diner had lost more than just a customer that day. That's our little story for today. If it were you in the place of John, how would you have reacted? Drop down in the comments and subscribe for more stories.